So welcome. He's Pingel from the sensational sister group with Sparkle TV, and today I'm gonna do a somatic movement practice, which is a Feldenkrais functional integration exploration. It's the last lesson in the series. Follow and flow with your nervous system. And well, patterns can become very they are applied to just any situation, or when they are really stirring our emotions in the background and evoking a lot of muscular effort. So also when our body members, like all the body members, like seeing your body as a whole constellation of family, and when certain members are repressed from moving freely and other members are working too hard, then certainly a pattern is just not so functional. And as we repeat it over time in every situation, every experience, there is the same pattern. The same way we deal with a situation, the pattern becomes a habit. And habits cause us to lose our flexibility and mobility to adapt to any situation or any environment. Well, I also wrote that muscles and emotions have a very intimate relationship. There is no movement without emotion, and that's because muscles and also fascia responds to every emotional stirring in our body. And unconscious muscular tension has a profound effect on how we behave and how we feel emotionally when we move. And today are going to explore that very shortly. We did this already in lesson 1, so that we know how we can optimize this pattern that we have discovered in this mini-series. Let's start. I invite you to come and stand and just to feel your weight on your feet. And just feel if your feet are equally carrying your weight, or whether you are leaning more into one or the other foot, or maybe not at all in your feet and you feel more like, oh, I'm holding myself with my shoulders, which is also a pattern. And then just explore very small where your body would go naturally if you would shift your weight to one foot. Where already is the invitation, the impulse going. And that might be very small. Maybe you feel your pelvis already wants to push to one side or turn to one side, or maybe your chest or head is already a little bit more oriented on one leg, towards one leg. This is the very first little cues of where the nervous system wants to create the movement. How we are oriented in our environment and oriented for action. Maybe due to very old experiences or story, or even ancestral patterns that we just took with us. And let's just look at it's not really important for today where this pattern exactly came from. It's more important that we have something to say with the pattern, about the pattern, and we can just co-create with our nervous system to make this pattern work for us rather than against us. So now take your weight into this leg that your nervous system already is oriented to, and start to look around. Start to look to see the wall behind you, and just again notice where already is the invitation. Are you gonna turn with your leg? Is, for example, are your pelvis or your chest or your nose or your eyes already orienting towards that leg to look around over that side? Or do you feel that in this shift of weight your body wants to turn the other way around? Just very small cues again, and it doesn't have to be big. The goal is not to see the wall behind you. It's not like the destination has to be arrived. If you have to arrive at destination, The goal is to feel what's happening on the path towards, and yeah, the path can be very small. Maybe you can even do it in your imagination and you can already feel, oh yeah, I can just feel this first initiation of the movement happening. And then start to experience if there's any moment where you hold your breath. Is there any moment where you disrupt the natural flow of inward and outward coming of air? And that's a very important cue, because often there the nervous system has its blind spots, and we can help the nervous system to get more clear about what's going on there. This is cutting edge neuroplasticity. So let's also feel how we emotionally respond to how the pattern leads us. So every time when you shift your way to look in the direction of the wall behind, start to feel what's stirring in your body. And you might feel certain places contract a little bit or release a little bit. And the overall feeling might be one of feeling more expanded or feeling more compressed. So just note what is the tendency of this pattern. What is the emotional luggage that is woven in this pattern? I'm not a native English speaker, by the way, so forgive me if I make very funny sentence constructions. And what we like to do today is actually detach the emotional mental luggage from that pattern, so it can start to be a more neutral pattern that might serve us in whatever situation without upsetting us. So just start to feel to both sides where you can turn when you go to this leg. Which side does make you feel more expanded, growing, getting tall, and on which side you feel, this is more like I'm sort of getting a bit small, I'm playing more small here. And what does it do with how your eyes see the environment? How do your eyes respond to this action? Are they getting more, are you getting more focused, or are they getting more like a broad image, getting back in your eye sockets? More panoramic view. So both ways have something very important to engage with our environment. And so often the emotional muscular load that's underneath that starts to make a pattern into a habit and into a certain response to the environment that might not serve us. For example, you can feel, is it steering more something like anxiety, doubt to the environment, or is it making you feel confident, making you feel certain, making you feel ready, able, your inner going to the other leg. So what's happening to your breath? How does your body wants to organize? Where there might be a little bit more resistance to this side. You might just feel your body wants to do something totally else. It might just not want to use the same strategy. And that's the interesting thing. What are our strategies in which we respond to our environment? That is our resilience. Can we have many strategies, or is it always the same strategy, whatever happens? And this is a different environment on the other side of ourselves. Might even look different when we look to the back on this side. You might see other things that attract us or make us resist. So just explore this little invitations that you already feel in your body, little resistances. And let's just not force the resistance. Let's just think, okay, this is not what we want today. Then what is possible? And that's a very important question to our nervous system. What is possible? Rather than forcing it to do something against its will. There's no any system, living systems, don't want to be steered nor controlled. We can nudge them, we can attract them, but that's about it. And so often we sort of try to force our body and our nervous system to move in a certain way. And that's not going to work. It's going to cause pain, it's going to cause tension, and on the long run we're going to get sick or even get chronic conditions. So to really dance with your nervous system. Okay, let's lie down on the back. I hope you got your mat. You saw my message earlier in the Sensational Sister group. And just sense for one little moment your contact with the floor. Which side feels tall, which side feels small? Is it the same as you experienced in standing? And how does your tall side connect with the floor, and how is that for your small side? You might feel you breathe different in your both sides, feeling from the feet all the way up to the crown of your head. Different contact, different places in which you breathe, or different ways in which your body moves with the breath. The flow of air in and out. And then just bend your legs. Put them to standing. And sense the distance between your feet and your knees for a moment. Are you standing more in hip width, or are you making a very small base for yourself or a very big base for yourself? Where do you feel balance? And then what I like you to start to do is push softly in the floor with the foot on the tall side and walk that hip a little bit to your foot. And then push in the floor with the foot of your small side and walk that hip a little closer to your shoulder. So the hips are gonna walk in opposite directions. The tall side you bring closer to your foot, away from your head. And then the small side, that hip is coming closer to your shoulder, coming closer to your head. Really bringing the whole body in this asymmetrical position that the nervous system already is inviting you to. So we are going to follow and flow with the nervous system by doing this, creating what the nervous system wants to achieve, and why it sends the muscles to contract more on one side and maybe less on the other side. So once you're here, take a moment to feel how that is today. Yesterday we played with a little rotation of the hips in this position. You can do that for yourself by lying your hands on your hip bones, the muscles of your hands, and just alternate a little bit, pressing the tall hip closer to the floor and then the small hip, and just sensing the direction in which the hip naturally and impulsively wants to go. And it might be different directions. If you imagine a clock with all these numbers, 12 being at your head, 6 at the top of your at the feet, then you might just experience that one side wants to go more in the direction of the lower circle of the clock, and the other side wants to go more in the direction of the upper circle of the clock. And then you leave this movement, and now pay attention to your breath, please. Just follow the flow of air in and feel how it dances with your ribs, how the lungs can expand in this configuration, where maybe one side is more compressed and the other side has far more space. And how can you breathe in this space, making it comfortable? This is like a struggle word for me. Well, I'm learning. And just take some time to really sense the more dimensionality of your rib cage, the front, the sides, the back, the left, the right, the top and the lower ribs as well. The ribs that are leaning into or having the diaphragm attached, and the top. And what all can you feel changes contact with the floor, the shoulder blades, what's happening in between the shoulder blades? Which ribs do you feel move? And which ribs just, are very quiet? How responsive are you in this configuration? And life is a lot about being responsive rather than reactive. So the more we can optimize a pattern, the more we can feel flexible in a pattern, not the flexibility we look for in a yoga class, but the flexibility of different options and choices. The capacity to change little things without stressing anything. That is like a different form of flexibility. And Moshe Feldenkrais would say that is the flexibility of the mind, not of the body. The flexibility of the brain. So, let's have the hands now on the ribs on the tall side. And especially the opposite hand. Can you lie it down on the ribs on the tall side? And you have 12 ribs on each side, so you can feel whether your hand naturally wants to go to the lower ribs or to the ribs more around the breast, or maybe even more around the armpit and the clavicle. And we can explore all these places, but feel where you start, because there also is a little guide. You probably go to the place, your biology sends you to the place where it needs most your help. So as your hand is there resting around the ribs, can you softly and gently start to lift the ribs that you hold a little bit away from the floor, the ribs on the tall side, and just let them go very gently back, and take a moment to sense the response of your nervous system. You might feel the contact, the pressure in the floor change, or the space in between the ribs, or your breath, and then lift it again a little bit. Background, so it's only very, very small. We don't want to stretch or something, we just giving little keys to our nervous system. Like, hey, how about this? It's like just this very small touch, very gentle. It's more like you have your pet, and you want to be very kind with your pet, caressing it, maybe pushing it gently aside so you can sit somewhere very gently. And observe when you lift, are you breathing out or in? And let it go. And then maybe you can change the place of your hands to another part of the ribs on the tall side, lifting them a little bit, and just sense that the shoulders can stay on the floor, the shoulder blades stay in contact with the floor. We're really, really engaging with the rib cage. And sense where your head wants to roll to. Are you rolling to the opposite, or to the side where you lift your ribs, the tall side? Start to explore rolling in the direction that's opposite. Every time you lift your ribs, your head rolls a little bit. And then you change your hand, you lift another part, and you roll a little bit with your head. Maybe around the armpits. And then as you go back down, to feel the ribs and lift them a little, roll the head the other way. Roll it towards the places where you lift, towards that side, the tall side. Every time staying in tune with the breath. If your breath starts to hold a little bit, make it smaller, go slower. And yes, we have only 20 minutes and I'm going over again. This is such an interesting lesson. So let's 2 times lift the ribs on the tall side and just make sure you have walked around across all these 12 ribs and helped each one lift a bit up from the floor. Rolling the head. And then just sense how you're lying now. Sense how you're lying now that your ribs just had this little invitation. And it might take like a minute for your nervous system to process all this information and to give it a place. So you might feel during this minute how your nervous system is adjusting, rewriting a pattern, rewiring we call this. And it might show up in the way you start to change your contact with the floor, or places that become available for breathing, and other places maybe not. I would really like to do the other side, so I'm gonna do it, because when you do the replay you have like everything in the package. So this time bring your other hand, the hand on the tall side, to the short side, and let's just contact our ribs. Be very gentle, feel them, feel how your ribs feel with your hand. Feel from the ribs how the hand feels. Is it a gentle touch? Is it a inviting touch? Is it inviting for a tango, or is it a bit strong? If it is strong, let's put more kindness in it, more compassion, more kindness, more gentleness. And then start to lift the ribs on this side and sense where your sternum wants to go, your chest bone. Does it move along? And if it doesn't move, then you, with the other hand, can you gently touch it with the fingers and allow it to move a little bit, following the ribs. The shoulders can stay on the floor, the shoulder blades, not like struggle, but just, we not really want to lift them. We don't have to effort there. And gently start to roll your head with your ribs to the side that is going to be heavier in the floor, the tall side. And sense where that side contacts the floor now. How and when and where. Breathing in the background. And then changing your hands to another part of the ribs. Gently lifting, rolling the head along. Gently following all the... It's different. These ribs that are maybe more compressed, more closer together. How do they move? And how does that change the contact of the floor with on the tall side? And then, as you go more up around your armpits, feel how that is when the shoulders stay quiet and the ribs want to move there. And often we hold a lot of tension in our chest. Many people experience the ribs more like a framework than like this 12 ribs on each side that have this mobility in relation to each other, and in relation to the spine, and in relation to the chest bone. Very small, but it is not like a bone-bone contact, it is cartilage. So there's this small, very small micro movement possible, and that gives a very different outcome for your breath, of course. Now let's go down again, lifting the ribs on the short side, but rolling the head towards the short side. Gently, gently playing a little bit with this mobility that we might have forgotten in the ribs and that we sort of bring back. Breathing, and you might feel already that certain places start to release some of the tension. That the pattern is starting to lose some of its rigidness, becoming more pliable, more adaptive, more friendly. Let's do 2 more times and then take a moment to rest. Feel how you're lying now in this position with the legs still bent in this asymmetrical position, but now with the ribs having done little movement in this pattern. So how did that change the experience of being asymmetric? Is it more comfortable? And then lift your legs to your chest and take the back of your legs with your hands. Hands are in the air, arms and legs, and you're holding the calves of your legs if possible, or the back of the knee. And now start rolling to the tall side, to the small side. And every time take a moment to rest on this side of the back that you're landing in. You don't have to roll totally to the floor on the side. And just feel if you can softening that side that you're leaning in the floor, that you're yielding in the floor. Feeling the breath and the space in between the ribs. Communicate when you breathe in, breathe out. Rolling to the other side, feeling, sensing. And if you see me move, as you see the camera, I can sit still when I'm doing, like when I'm guiding people to a lesson, it's like I'm doing the lesson myself. So, let's lengthen the legs now and take a last moment on the floor to feel what it is like now, that how we are lying, how this little movement explorations have changed our perception now of where we are in relation to the floor, where our body members are in relation to each other. How do we experience the tall side, the small side? Maybe the difference is bigger or smaller, or it's just a different sensation. A different sensation than from the start of this lesson or the start of this course. And then slowly come to standing. And when you stand, take a moment to feel how you're standing on your 2 feet and how you're breathing. What has changed? Remember awareness, the capacity to feel distinctions, differences in sensation. And then shift the way to where the body wants to go, where you already feel that your pelvis or chest or head wants to turn to by impulse. Has it changed? Is the strategy different? Can be that you feel that you want to go to another leg, or that you feel that you want to go to another side when you are going to a certain leg, to look behind you. Or that the sequential movement to the body, to the spine, the spiral of turning has changed. Or that you simply feel more breath. Or that you feel another one of you, another energy of you is turning. You feel maybe more confident in your body as you turn. You see the environment maybe from a different emotional setup. And just play with all the directions. You can turn in the direction of where you go or in the opposite direction. And just sense whether the availability to feel confident and certain and present in your body has increased. You can go to the other leg. And that is exactly what we want. We don't per se want to change the pattern, we just want to bring more to the pattern. So it's no longer a restricting pattern, but it is giving us more possibilities to engage with the environment. Because patterns are not our enemies. We need patterns. If we wouldn't have anything, we would feel very, very lost. Because every action would have to go through our awareness, and it would take ages, and we would just, get so absorbed with that we couldn't engage with the environment anymore. So to bring more flavors to a pattern, to have this adaptability, to interact with our environment from a place where we feel safe and confident and present. That is what it is about, I believe. So I see I went to 30 minutes. That is way too long, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I wish you a beautiful Christmas. And thank you for joining, and stay tuned. Next week I will have a dance event in the group via Zoom, and more nice